Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Ofense and I am your book bae. So this is the second time that I'm filming this video. I hope that second time's the charm. Well, in my story, second time is the charm. We are definitely not doing a third. But thank you for coming back if you are a returning subscriber. If you aren't a returning subscriber but you know you just spend a lot of time in these parts, you might as well subscribe. You might as well like, you might as well, you know, do the things and never ever miss an upload since you like me. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss an upload. In this week's video, I'm discussing Kifilwe Mabote's Influencer Deluxe from Soweto to Milan. And what I love about this book is that it is a local author, local queen, local digital entrepreneur, and it basically chronicles her journey of success from her beginning stages to little lessons that she had learned along the way to the day in the life of. So if you're anything like me, I love the E-True Hollywood story documentaries and anything that gives me insight into the person behind the brand of the success is captivating. This is perfect if you ever wanted to find out who is the person behind these amazing Instagrammable moments that we see on our Instagram, because she is an influencer deluxe. So at the beginning, she outlines that this book is going to be about her journey as well as some of the tips and tricks that she can impart or offer for people who would like to know how to be an influencer, how to be a digital entrepreneur, specifically in terms of Instagram. And what I liked about that is that it was very detailed, and she gave a lot of information. I was just an Instagram, I literally just got a message on Instagram, so that's amazing because we're talking about Instagram right now. Here we are. But she basically speaks about even like the simplest things that I think if you've been on Instagram for a while, you might take for granted. Things like using the appropriate hashtags, tagging people, the differences between the different forms of influencers. So you have your nano influencers, your micro influencers, your macro influencers, and there's a fourth term that she used: macro, micro, mega. So you have nano influencers, micro influencers, macro influencers, and your mega influencers. So just some of that terminology in terms of what it means to be an influencer, as well as when it comes to approaching brands, dealing with brands, how to make sure that you are valuing yourself in a way that speaks to your true worth, and that type of thing. So I really did appreciate that from a building my brand point of view. She starts to let us into her story in terms of why and how she became who she is. She spoke about her journey. She was a student part-time, and then she also worked, and she went from being I think she said receptionist at the very beginning, to a sales rep, and she just climbed the ladder from there. And she also spoke about how along the way she had met these women who had always just inspired her with their glamour, their success, and their drive, where she was able to observe them and, you know, bounce ideas off them, gain support as well as guidance from them, which was invaluable. I think that on your journey to success, there are always people who play a significant role in just cultivating what you're trying to build, and it was really special for her to list and name some of those people that had served that role, but also the people that she began to work with from the very beginning. And one of my favorite parts of the book was when she spoke about how she realized that something was not her lane. So I think that depending on the type of person you are, you have those moments in life when you're kind of sitting and you're doing something and you're like, no man, like as it's on. So at that point she had her aha moment while in a lecture. At that point she was studying towards a BCom, and she realized that, you know what, I wanted to do this because I wanted to prove to people that I'm more than just a pretty face, that I do have brain power. But this is not how I'm going to do it. This is not my lane. So that day She stormed out of the lecture hall, she left her books there, and she said that she never looked back. And for me, that is just iconic, you know, when you have that drive inside you that you know that something is not necessarily for you. But she made it very clear that she's not now encouraging people to just, you know, drop out of school and just leave things behind, but just really have a conversation with yourself and know that this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do to get it. And she said that when she went home that day, she made a list. She sat down, she made a list, and she said, what do I love? She wrote down a few things on the list were Instagram, beautiful things, luxury, and something else, a few other things, or maybe that was the list, I'm not quite remembering. And then after that list was formulated, she decided like, okay, how am I actually going to now take this list and make it something that I can really build and benefit from in the long term. The specific diction and the way that she writes, it's very conversational. You feel like you're just sitting and having a coffee with her and she's telling you about her life. There was some particular jargon that is used in terms of marketing and that type of thing, but it's also explained throughout the book, and it's great education for us, you know, who are learning and growing in a particular industry and just content creation, that she provides that background. So now if you happen to go to a meeting or something like that and someone talks about KPIs or whatever, you know what that means because you read the book. On the writing of the actual book, she speaks about how she met Lebo Grand, who actually helped her to pen the book. She said that she was at a restaurant one day and then Lebo approached her and said, wow, is this you? And she said, well, yes, it's me, I'm Kifilwe, and you know, it's nice to meet you. And he said, wow, I wrote this book and I'd really love for you to read it. You're the type of woman that I had in mind when I was writing this book. Then and there, he passed on the book to her, she read it, and then when it was time for her to find out who she actually wanted to help her pen the book, she remembered him and they got along like a house on fire. And this was actually my first time reading something electronically, which was quite cool. Up until now, I've been a paperback type of girl, unless we are talking readings for school and that type of thing. But apart from that, I've always read books like with the physical copy in hand. So that was a great experience for me, something different. And what I will say about my experience is that I think I value having a physical copy with me as opposed to, well, maybe not even as opposed to, but I think I just like having a physical copy because it's not dependent or contingent on the fact that your phone is charged or your Kindle is charged or your iPad is charged. It's just there, rain or shine, you just need some light and then you're good to go. But I definitely would be open to reading electronic versions in the future, and I think now with the lockdown, I think that that might be something that I will be exploring. Alright, yes, so the tone, she really was very conversational, very relaxed. We spoke about how she used a lot of jargon. Another thing that I really liked, just a nice touch, at the end of each chapter she gives this little box which she called a Gifi tip, which kind of ties in the lesson that maybe she was communicating, or she had learned through that particular process or instance in her life that she was describing. She also has pictures of herself, like I think for the most part they came from her Instagram, because I recognize a few of the pictures of herself. Since we are talking about a digital fashion influencer, we were able to see that nicely woven into the story as well as what we're learning about. So shout out to the publishers for that. Character development. I'm spilling now. We see a lot of her character development in terms of like the little stories that she tells us, which illustrate her success. Now on to the big question. Did I like the book? I definitely liked the book. I definitely saw value in the book, in a lot of the things that she shared, particularly in terms of building a brand on Instagram. But I think a lot of those lessons that she shared about building a brand as an influencer on Instagram, you can kind of take away and apply to other social media platforms and other avenues of life, really. So she spoke a lot about consistency, leveling up, and quality content. I think that those particular lessons are something that can be applied across the board. You know, you want to be the best that you possibly can be, so you grab people's attention and you consistently trying to teach yourself to level up, because yeah, that happens that when you are doing something well, like she is so successful that many other people will want to emulate that. And how she kind of, you know, stays on her toes is that she is consistently reinventing herself. So that I did like. I also saw value in, from the place where she started with how to run your Instagram account. At what stage do you become a macro influencer, mega influencer? How do you value your posts? How do you deal with brands and who want to use you for their various marketing campaigns? This conversation about influencer marketing versus celebrity marketing was also very interesting to me, specifically as a journalism graduate. Like, she spoke about how when you get a celebrity to endorse your brand or to be the face of a campaign, that is marketing in a way that it's one way. There's no conversation after the fact, like so and so will post a picture of themselves wearing or doing something, endorsing a brand, but you can't necessarily go and comment on the picture, hey Fenze, how do I know which pair of shoes is best for me, because I like to run but I also like one shoes that I can use to train. As opposed to, if you're using an influencer, it's kind of their job to know and understand the product in a way that they can be that two-way communication, where I can go and see Gifibu wearing a fabulous pair of jeans and ask her, wow Gifi, this is amazing, do you think that they'll have a shape for me, this is my body type, that type of thing. And I can, you know, expect her, or I will say expect her to respond, because there is that controversy in terms of influencers not necessarily responding to comments and that type of thing. But generally, the job of an influencer is to serve as that go-between the brand and the average consumer. So in that case, I definitely saw that I don't know, heightened value in influencer marketing and approaching influencers. Another thing she spoke about is understanding like how you can value your posts and famous influencers and how they've paved the way for up and coming influencers and things to look out for. And because she's covered a lot of these topics in the book, you can benefit in the sense that you might not necessarily have to go through the same hurdle or things like that. Or when you are faced with this hurdle, you can think, okay, WWKD, what would Gifi do? So I really like that. I definitely would recommend the book to anybody who's interested in learning more about the person in front of the lens, behind the gram, behind the digital influencer success. She speaks a lot about, you know, the brands that she's worked with. So the book for me is like a handbook for definitely anybody who's interested in growing their Instagram, growing their brand, being a digital name to look out for, but also anybody who wants to understand who is this woman, who is Gifibu and why. I keep calling her that, but I feel like, oh, I know that once lockdown is lifted and we are allowed to go to bookshops and that type of thing, there was talks of having a book launch. Hard copy books will be available, and I'm sure there will be amazing things that happen, as well as book signings and that type of thing. But for now, you can go online and download the book. I paid 206 Rand. I pre-ordered on the 14th of April and then it arrived in my inbox on the 15th. So that's me for the week. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I would love to hear about your particular journeys. What are you doing? Are you interested in growing your brand online? And what are some tips and tricks that you have? And then we can engage also in the comment section. Who is your favorite influencer? And also, what are you reading? Another thing that I think we could all benefit from thinking about is, and just understanding that, you know, to grow something and to be successful, you have to start. So that's the main thing that I got from this. Like, you know, when you start, but that it's just not enough to just start. it's important to keep going and to be consistent and to keep posting and to keep writing and to keep arting and to keep doing whatever it is that is your thing, and believing in yourself, because one day it will all work out. Bye for now.